Get started here shortly. Hello and welcome to episode 8 of SnackBreak by OrthoSnacks. I'm your host, John Schaefer, and on this podcast, we interview physical therapists, fitness professionals, and health and wellness experts. So far, I've done a lot of interviews with physical therapists, and today I'm looking forward to crossing over more into the fitness side of things with today's guest. He is a 2007 graduate of Connecticut College, where he played basketball as well as received 2 degrees, one in human development, one in economics. He's the co-founder of JTW Fit, and his upcoming project is the Harlem Kettlebell Club. And due to all his efforts within the fitness industry, he was actually named the 2020 Men's Health Next Top Trainer. Congratulations once again. He is Jah Washington. How's it going, Jah?
Good. Thank you. Going well. Low-key day with the holidays coming up, so I'm glad to be off and just kind of relaxing. So it's nice to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like once you're kind of in the fitness industry and doing a lot of training, there isn't necessarily a whole lot of downtime. I mean, you even said you got classes tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's hard to find some balance, and balance has been like one of the main focus points for myself. Over the last couple of years, is figuring out how to do everything, but also find some space to kind of take a break. But tomorrow's class, I'm always excited for. I think it's going to be really fun. Everyone gets up, they have a lot of energy, and they put in some work before they go and have fun and drink and eat with the family. So
yeah, that's
cool.
Awesome. I think where I'd like to kind of start a discussion today is just talking a little bit about your fitness journey. I mean, if anyone just go across your page, they see this guy who's absolutely killing it with the weights, doing complex moves, and really getting after it. So has it always been a situation where you've really been passionate about your fitness? I mean, I know you played college basketball, so I'm sure there was a lot of weight training and things like that then, but I mean, has this always been a passion of yours?
I would say I've always been known, growing up, I was always known as one of the kids that was in better shape. I would say
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty much this size for a long time. I never really got any taller, but I was always kind
Mm-hmm.
of, wide and stocky when I played sports. So, always known around the neighborhood as somebody that was in shape or fit or strong, those little buzzwords. And then obviously with playing sports, we did the bare minimum. I didn't have access to half of the things that I can use now in terms of training, but I did a lot of push-ups and squats, and I just played a lot of basketball. So I stayed in shape that way. And, fast forward to college, our strength program, I love the school, but our strength program wasn't that great either. We
Mm-hmm.
again, like, it did the bare minimum and really had to get creative in terms of our training. So, fast forward now, I wish I had all these tools back then. I'd probably be, way more of a machine, in the weight room than I am now. So, but, just always want to keep in shape, always love, how I look and want to be aesthetically pleasing and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. So then I guess following graduation, what were kind of your initial thoughts? Did you ever think that maybe you'd get involved in fitness for a living?
Not at all. I mean, my whole college career, I was, I wanted to be an educator. I wanted to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
My entire life as a child, I wanted to be an architect. Everything, as
Okay.
time goes on, your ideas, everything just starts to change as you start to figure out who you are. And, but I did know that whatever I did, I wanted to be in my community supporting and helping people. Initially, I got into finance because I wanted to make a bunch of money and then be
Mm-hmm.
able to do a lot of the work that I wanted to do. And I just was bored with finance, and it just wasn't fun. I wasn't having a great time with it. While I was learning and making decent money, it just wasn't motivating me and uplifting me in the way that I wanted to. And I kind of fell into training just because I got out of shape. I was, used to being in shape and used to playing a lot of sports. And when I got this 9 to 5 and I'm sitting at a desk all day, things started to
Mm-hmm.
slow down. Nutrition or eating choices weren't as great. And so I found myself figuring out how to get back into shape, how to get into a routine, and really going through a lot of the things that I see clients go through is, wanting the fast results, not wanting to put the fork down or make better choices, really trying to figure out the easy way out. So that's kind of where I started to resonate with my clients now, and I'm able to talk to them in a way that gets them motivated because I can say that I've actually been not in their exact predicament, but in that sort of headspace where I was
Mm-hmm.
challenged and couldn't figure out how to, get to that next phase.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like a lot of the experiences you had yourself have kind of I guess, shown you what it takes to get to that next level and things like that, just in terms of your health. I guess, so one of the things I'm wondering a little bit about is, so then you transition to getting more involved in the community. Um, you open Harlem Hit because you want to get involved again in the community, create more opportunities for people. How do you kind of pair the business side of things with um, providing affordable health opportunities and things like that? So making sure that it is still a profitable company and things like that, but you are still having the reach and providing as many opportunities as you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so I looked at it. So let me just rewind. When I first started training, we were in Riverbank State Park. So my
Hmm.
classes were already $5 and $10 because I didn't know any better, and I was also just trying to learn. And me and my partner were trying to get people in front of us. So we wanted it to
Hmm.
be affordable. One, because we could reach more people and be effective in that manner. We got to Harlem Hit. We collaborated with the physical therapy of Harlem, and they, in the same breath, wanted to do something that was community based, community
Hmm.
oriented. And the approach we took, I hate to use a Planet Fitness, but I think like a Planet Fitness model of some sort is
Hmm.
where things are less expensive, more people might take advantage of it. And so, us knowing that the quality of service that we would offer, what we were trying to bring to the community would be, a huge plus, and we would be very intentional about what we were doing and making sure that it was quality that the people would know
Hmm.
that they were getting that the price was low intentionally. They would know that it's worth more than what we're actually um, what we're providing. And so if we ended up having to raise the price or do things a little bit differently, we've already got their attention. They're focused. They're locked in. They know that
Hmm.
we have their intentions in mind, and so they're going to kind of shift and transition with us. If and when we needed to make those changes. But I think the biggest thing is just getting people in front of you, and whether the price is $1 or $20, they're not
Hmm.
really looking at that. They're looking at how you're making them feel. Does it work? Do they feel comfortable? Is it a space where they can be confident? Are they meeting people and being able to network? And just you really want to make sure that they're having a great time and obviously not getting hurt, which is the most important part. And once you have those things in line, again, you can play around with price and people don't tend to go anywhere.
Hmm. You mentioned that you worked a little bit with the physical therapy in the area, so I guess I'm kind of curious what that relationship looked like. I know a lot of my audience is probably interested in kind of the relationships between more strength coaches, working with rehab, kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, so I mean, so I think so physical therapy problem, they had an extra space that they weren't using. Initially were doing
Hmm.
pediatric PT, but I don't know the whole story, but I think that particular service fell through. So they just had an additional space. We were doing a lot of outdoor training, which left us, with nowhere to go once the weather got cold, like wintertime
Hmm.
now. And so we decided to kind of come together and say, hey, let's use this space in a more efficient way. You guys have physical therapy clients that are potentially looking to, get back into training. We're going to have
Hmm.
clients who are going to be coming in pretty new to working out. And so they're probably going to be dealing with sort of injuries and things like that. So we can kind of bounce people back and forth between each other. Again, still do something that's very community oriented and obviously be able to make a bit of money at the same time. So I
Hmm.
learned a lot. My partner learned a lot just from being able to see how they operate with clients, talk about injuries to different, shoulders and hips and ankles. And what it taught us was how to be more, be better coaches, finding regressions and
Hmm.
progressions, and just again making sure that we're allowing people to kind of enter the space and be able to train efficiently, feel comfortable, and know that they're not going to be back in physical therapy in the next two
Yep.
weeks.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think that it's just especially important that kind of the two disciplines work together because they can provide care across the whole continuum, from getting started to train, coming across any injuries and things like that. Just making sure that you're continuing to kind of progress in your journey of health. Um, so I guess what I want to talk about a little bit next is just kind of starting up Harlem Hit, what that looked like with the first studio, maybe some of the challenges you face, and really what that journey was like just getting into the space initially.
Yeah, so Harlem Hit was, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I tell you that. Just building that out was a lot of fun. It took a lot of time and energy and head down and just really trying to figure out how do we get people to believe in us
Mm-hmm.
outside of the price, right? The price is the one thing that gets you there, but then what are all the other things that you do to keep people? And so that's where the community engagement comes in. That's where knowing every client's name, maybe
Mm-hmm.
knowing their social media handle, knowing their injuries, knowing things that they have going on outside of fitness, just really getting to know the people that are going to be around you, the people that are going to be, you're going to be servicing, and obviously the people who are going to be supporting you by paying you to be there. So I think that's one of the huge things is just building a community. And so once we were able to establish that, the work was pretty much done. Every time that one client came in, they had a great session, they told one person, and that one person
Mm-hmm.
told one person. And then it went from having, 5 people in a class to having a wait list every single day for every class. And, that's something that like I found to be really important. It's something I think, I put in a lot of hard work, but I think we definitely were blessed to have people that, really believe in us and wanted to see this through and wanted to support us and allowed us to make mistakes at the same time because they knew we were just
Mm-hmm.
figuring it out and it was something new. The second part of it was that we were operating out of a physical therapy office. So, it didn't necessarily look the part. We had a red carpet, we had closets that had like a lot of physical therapy tools, storage. There was a front desk area. So the space, if you walk by it, you'd be like, absolutely not. I'm not training here because you're so used to
Mm-hmm.
what things look like, Midtown East and then Uptown and, and Upper West Side when you go to those boutique gyms. So we had to do like
Mm-hmm.
a bit of a revamp in the space, try to make it look a little more presentable with like a rubber floor, grab, me and my partner didn't have a lot of money, so we had about 8 kettlebells, a couple of med balls, some dumbbells, and some
Mm-hmm.
resistance bands, and we just made it happen. We had fun with it, and again, we just made sure that we were very confident in everything that we were programming and putting together, and then asking for a lot of feedback. What did you like about this? What didn't you like? Anything we can do better? And then just asking people to just refer and just bring people into the space
Mm-hmm.
and allow them to, take a class and see what they feel for themselves.
Yeah, and you talk a lot about just developing those relationships to lay the groundwork for everything moving forward. I'd imagine it'd be a little bit challenging if you're having group classes. So are you sitting down with every client before they start the group classes, or are you just more building the relationships starting with that first session?
Yeah, so what I would typically do is we use Mind Body, and every time a new person booked the class, they get like a green star next to their name. So what I would do
Mm-hmm.
is, every time I saw that green star, I would just send them a message, hey, this is John, nice to meet you, thanks for signing up. Any questions, any comments, any injuries, if you need to get on the phone, we can talk really quickly for class. And then just try to give them like what the expectations of the class are,
Mm-hmm.
maybe give them a rundown just in case they don't know what they signed up for, and then that alone is a lot. They're like, oh, this person actually thought to reach out to me. So when they came to the class, that nervousness that they were probably going to have, they have
Mm-hmm.
less of it or none because there was an interaction beforehand, and you can kind of give them a video of something. Here's a class from social media. This is what the class is going to look like. So you kind of prepare them mentally to come into the space and just have more fun and relax versus them coming in really timid and like, oh, I hope I don't die today. How it can be for group fitness
Yeah.
classes. And then once they get there, I would do an introduction like, hey, everybody, we have such and such here. She's new or he's new. Make sure you show them some love the way we normally do.
Uh-huh.
And those little icebreakers just, it means the world. And again, those are the ways that you build a community. Everyone knows each other by name and it becomes more of a support group. You're not going to just work out. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to have fun with your friends and exercise at the same time.
That's awesome. And that's something I feel like you don't really think about until you're right in the middle of it. All that comes to mind for me, I did a hot yoga class once, and I've done other group fitness a few times, but every time I
Mhm.
walked in, it was just like, oh, here we go. No sense
Yep.
of community or anything.
Yeah.
So I guess being in that environment, that'd be something where I'd look forward to going to. And again, just having that community that's pretty cool.
Right. And that's
Props
something
to
I've
you.
learned from taking classes as well. Just, I don't want to be a number. I want to vibe with people and I want to be able to feed off each other's energy. That's the whole point of being in a group setting. If I wanted to
Hmm.
work out by myself, I would just go to the gym alone and isolate. But, if I'm looking to be around people and motivate and be motivated, it's nice to welcome people into a space and have them feel like they belong there and they would want to come back and maybe bring friends.
Hmm. So what do your workouts look like now? Are you working out with your clients typically, or I've seen you do a lot on Zoom too. So I'm kind of wondering what the balance with that is.
Yeah, so we ended up having so post Harlem hit, we ended up opening JCW Fit. That was my first boutique fitness studio,
Hmm.
right in Harlem. We're a couple blocks away from where I grew up. So we had some issues, landlord things we don't have to jump in today, but we ended up having to close that space. And we pivoted the same way the entire fitness world did and went virtual about a week later. That virtual
Hmm.
program did really well. I mean, I ended up building it out. We had about 21 classes a week,
Oh
everything from HIIT
wow.
training, kettlebells, we did mobility, we had Pilates, we had dance fitness, we had yoga. So we basically made a one-stop shop for all of our members and anyone else that was looking for things online to do, to be able to kind of take advantage of. And we also
Hmm.
made that really affordable as well with $10 per class, or you can do $40 for the week as an unlimited. So again,
Hmm.
just getting more people in the door, getting more people to see what we're doing, giving them an opportunity to train with us, and not have to break the bank, especially during this time in the pandemic where no one really knew what was going on, people losing
Hmm.
jobs. No one wanted, from personally, I don't want people to have to prioritize their health over whether they can eat or not. I think both of those things
Hmm.
go together, and you should be able to move and stay active, especially when you're told you need to be home, and just kind of hanging out until this whole COVID thing blows over. But
Yeah.
yeah, virtual went really well. And so now I'm still doing virtual training. We still have about 15 classes a week. Some of the classes have kind of pulled back because they want to be back outside. Some people are back at work.
Hmm.
And so you have a lot of that going on. And we're doing some in-person things. So over the summer, a lot of outdoor classes, some kettlebell class. We had some HIIT classes, some boxing stuff. So just again, getting people up and moving and just trying to have a little bit of variety so that people who weren't comfortable coming back outside could still train from home. And anyone who was vaccinated or really felt comfortable, just wanted to be in person, we could offer that as well.
Okay. That's awesome. So with the variety of your programs, I mean, you're talking about working with everyone from dancers to boxers. What's kind of your process in designing some of these programs?
So, I mean, I look at, so my thing, I think something that I'm known for is
Hmm.
simplicity. What I mean is not that it's super basic, but I like to pick movements that most
Hmm.
people I can get them to do pretty quickly. Right. And then from there we can start to progress. But because in my mindset, when I think about a class, I don't think about programming for the person that's in the most shape, but I think I want to
Mm.
pick movements where everyone should leave the studio looking the same. If the intensity is there, if the energy is there, if the effort is there, if you're in elite shape and you're giving 100%, that's going to be the equivalent of someone who is new and giving 100%. So that's the thing where we can't teach effort, but I can give you all of these tools. So I kind of program with simple movements, and then what I'll do is kind of from there advance something and say, hey, you've been coming here for 8 weeks, hey, you might do a dumbbell thruster, you might just do a squat, and we'll superset that with the press. It's just something like along those lines. But it's
Hmm.
just something like we're all hitting the same muscle groups. But for example, I might back squat with a bar, and you're just starting out. Maybe you're doing dumbbell goblet squats. But at the end of the day, in that program, we're all squatting, we're all pushing, we're all pulling, we're all hinging,
Hmm.
we're all going through our big six, and the session still moves. And I can kind of figure out who's progressing where, and then the next session, okay, you can slide into this group because you've been here long enough and you look like you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's would probably be one of the main challenges for people doing group fitness. I've got some experience doing more one-on-one training, so I think it's cool to have that mindset though. If you're working with a large group, if you see people changing, to kind of progress or regress, and kind of like you said, make sure
Yeah,
everyone's
it's
getting a
hard though.
great
You
great
get 20
workout.
people in there too. It's definitely hard when you have 20 people, 15 people. But you start off pretty slow, and you start to kind of see how some people come in and they're coming from different studios, and they'll let that
Hmm.
be known ahead of time, so you can kind of, all right, you guys will be here, you'll be there. It takes a second, but once it's rolling, when I see the roster, I know exactly who's coming, and I can start to kind of plan out ahead of time. So that's the advantage you have there.
Hmm. So for anyone who's looking to get involved in the fitness industry and maybe is coming from a different background,
Mhm.
such as you came from with, finance, human development. What advice would you have for them as they kind of get started in their journey?
I would say, I would say first is one, don't get overwhelmed. I think take your time,
Hmm.
figure out what you're looking for out of this. So who's your the client or who you want to work with is a big thing. Because what I notice is that I see a lot of people that's running out and getting a ton of different certs and they got 1,000 different letters, but they're not using all of it. It's just I have
Hmm.
all these certifications, and so I look like I'm a really good test taker. But what does that mean? Who am I using these things with? So what I thought about for myself is, okay, I want a personal train. I like general population. I want to impact people who don't necessarily train, don't aren't athletes, and they really
Hmm.
want to get in shape. Particularly, it started out with most people that were trying to lose a lot of weight, but now it's become a blend of weight loss and strength training as well. But knowing your lane, knowing who you are as a coach, the type of coach you want to be, and really just start figuring out your certifications and qualifications based on that versus having any and everything. So a
Hmm.
prime example for me is I got a personal training cert because I'm like, okay, I just want to get rolling and then be able to have some sort of knowledge base and have something, to secure
Hmm.
that, like, hey, I did take this test and I took time to learn. And then from there, 99% of my clients are women, not intentionally, but it's just how group fitness typically works. Women
Hmm.
tend to take more instruction. Guys have a little bit of an ego, so women will come in and take classes. So I went out and got my pre-postnatal certification, and the intention was to make sure that if I'm going to be be responsible for these women when in these sessions, if and when they do get pregnant or postpartum, I've had you for so long. I know your exercise history. I can continue to support you throughout that whole process, right? And so that's just me wanting to just be an extension of that. And also, if you're thinking business wise, I don't lose clients. I can support you
Hmm.
the entire time. You're not going to look for another coach who can help you while you're pregnant or afterwards. I'm right here. So, and that's kind of the example I would use. So just remember, stay in that lane and then figure out what other things you like to do. So I love kettlebell, so I went and got 2 kettlebell certs. I like Olympic weightlifting, so I got an Olympic weightlifting cert. But I didn't go get like, I don't know, like a dietitian, something along
Hmm.
those lines, because that's not my expertise. I'd rather send someone more knowledgeable in that space and have us collaborate and work together versus me trying to do it all.
Yeah, it seems like everything you do is very intentional. So that's admirable quality for sure. That's a good transition though. So you mentioned you love kettlebells and you're starting the Harlem Kettlebell Club. So I mean, walk me through a little bit. When did this love of the kettlebell first start?
I always tell this story, but it was pretty much an accident. I mean, I went to the gym one day, literally just a crowded day in the gym, barbells
Hmm.
taken, dumbbells taken, everything was gone. No one touched the kettlebells. We had not a lot of them, but a full rack. And I wanted to get a workout in. I didn't feel like waiting. I was already exhausted, late 6 p.m. coming from work. And
Hmm.
so I grabbed the kettlebells and just started messing around with them. And I did very basic stuff, squatting and rowing and pressing, anything you would do with some dumbbells. But I got intrigued by them and I was like, well, in the event that I come back in here again and this is the issue, I would like to be a little more versatile. So I just started
Hmm.
watching videos and just, self-taught really for the most part. And then I was like, well, you know what? We only had kettlebells at Harlem Hit. And I was like, well, I wanted to do something a little more advanced, right? Everyone was kind of getting a lot stronger. So the only way to progress it was to have maybe some more advanced movements or techniques.
Hmm.
So I went to kettlebell athletics with Jason C. Brown. We learned a swing, we learned some cleans, so I added those to the repertoire. Went back to the gym, practiced with those, started including those in my programming. And then during the pandemic, I had plenty of time on my hands. I took Kettlebell Kings certification with Marcus Martinez. And that's
Hmm.
what got me really into the kettlebells because I started learning just how to move in different planes of motion, a lot of rotational work, getting out of the sagittal plane. And it made me feel more like my athletic days, like playing basketball,
Hmm.
having reactive drills. And so that's when I really fell in love with them. And again, I started to teach kettlebells virtually, and then that was when it was a game changer, and everyone started signing up. class started taking off. People were buying kettlebells just so they can take the class. We ended up renting our kettlebells from the studio to all of our
Mm-hmm.
members so that they can have stuff in their hands in the virtual sessions. And I started posting stuff, and then I started getting tagged on stuff and reposted. And all of a sudden, like, now I'm part of this like huge kettlebell community where we kind of share workouts and complexes with each other. And it's been fun. I mean, I've gotten really strong with them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
confident with them. And, I've held my own at some of these kettlebell events where we got some really people from RKC and Strong First and all these big time certs. And like, I did pretty well not having any of those certifications. So it made me, really want to continue with it and, open the studio so that more people can learn about the modality and also learn that you don't have to necessarily use a barbell or dumbbell to get in really good shape. There's this other thing out here that's amazing when you have a good instructor in front of you.
Yeah, because I guess I kind of run into the same thing. I feel like every time I go to the gym, the kettlebells are just sitting there. Do you think it's because not enough people have exposure to how to use them, or that? I mean, what's your thought in terms of why they aren't utilized more?
Yeah, I think intimidation is a big thing. You walk in, you see this round base with this arc, this hoop, and you just like, I don't know what this is. How does it even work? It's not a dumbbell. Most people are used to dumbbells. They're used to hand weights, right? So you come and you see something you're not accustomed to. The first thing is like, I don't know how to do that. Or I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm curious. So I was like, yeah, let me go over here and see what's up. It can't be that bad, right? You just pick it up and move it. It's a weight. I'll figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the intimidation factor, and also when you're getting into those more complex movements, it does get tricky. Technique becomes a really big thing, and you can injure yourself, with any tool, but you can definitely injure yourself if you're not prepared or have the right mechanics. So I think that's why
Mm-hmm.
they're usually ready, available. And also I see a lot of people that are using them and they are butchering a lot of movements. And it's nothing against them. They just, it's just the thing. If you don't practice them and you don't spend a lot of time on them, or you don't see videos and have a lot of repetitions, you're more than likely going to be doing something wrong. So,
Mm-hmm. I'm sure with all the work you're doing, they're only going to grow in popularity. So maybe next time I go to the gym, a few less on the shelf.
yeah,
Um,
that's the plan.
but the next thing I want to talk about is your your nomination and being awarded the 2020 Men's Health Next Top Trainer. What did that actually look like for those who aren't familiar with what this distinction is?
Yeah, so Men's Health Magazine had a Next Top Trainer challenge in late 2020. Pretty much a friend of mine sent me an email about the audition that was coming up. I filled out the form. I wrote some answers in. They called me back,
Mm-hmm.
said they enjoyed the answers. They had taken a look at my social media. They liked how I moved. They liked the versatility, things that I was doing. And they wanted
Mm-hmm.
me to do the video audition. So I did the video audition, about 10 questions, sent those in, and they wrote me back about 2, 3 months later, I think it was, and saying like, hey, we picked you. We really liked everything you had to say. We liked your camera presence. We start shooting next week. So it was basically a reality show, myself
Mm-hmm.
versus 7 other trainers in a number of different, it could be fitness competition, knowledge-based questions. We got the chance to train some celebrities, and we had like mock things where like they had a shoulder injury and you had to train around the injury. It's just like things to kind
Oh,
of test to
wow.
see how you were on camera in the hot seat. Could you explain things really well? Did
Yeah.
you have some sort of knowledge base with like science? And can you really talk to various audiences and get
Mm-hmm.
everybody to kind of buy into what you were saying? So a lot of fun. Probably one of the most rewarding things during the pandemic, because obviously things were just moving really slow and we had closed the gym, and so I was in like a little bit of a depressed and I was in a funk. But it gave
Mm-hmm.
me something to work towards. It gave me something to work hard on, to really apply myself on, and to win it all was a big deal. Big deal
Yeah.
for me, big deal for my community, big deal for my members, big deal for Harlem. I don't know anybody. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
there's been anybody else from Men's Health Magazine or from Harlem that was in Men's Health Magazine. So I got to represent in a lot of ways, my family as well. And so it was super important to win it. But also the main thing outside of winning, that wasn't even the most important thing. And for me, it was showing people that, you can bounce back. And like whenever something does, when you have this negative thing that happens, something else is on the way. As long as you keep that energy, you keep your intention set and you just work. I think, most people, they get into a funk and they kind of, you know, start to point fingers. And I'm a next play type of person. I've always been that
Can
way, especially as
tell.
a college point guard.
Hmm.
My job is not to get rattled. If there's a turnover, we get back up the court. And so I use a lot of those skills and things that I learned in my life with myself and also with my clients. Like, hey, you had a bad week with eating. All right, tomorrow's the next day. Let's get back to a salad. Get some water, and let's just forget about it and keep going, because you're gonna have more days like that, and they're gonna come,
Hmm.
and they consistently come. So yeah, but it was fun. A lot of energy, a lot of effort, man. I've had so many people reach out to me about how proud they were, and it made me feel really good. I'm not one that usually smiling a lot all the time, so that was one day where I was like all smiles and really happy, and that I could share that with a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. Congratulations again. Um, so how's everything changed since? Do you feel like you've gotten a big uptick in clients, or are you just continuing to do the same things? And
I think so. Uptick in clients. I mean, I think we've. I mean, I have a bunch of PT clients now, so I'm doing a lot more
hmm
one-on-one training. Obviously, with the studio closed, that whole situation. Once we reopen the gym and we were back into that space, that dynamic will be back, and that's always been a lot of fun and big energy. But I think obviously my social media following has gone up.
hmm
I'm not a big, I'm not so caught up on followers and things like that, but my audience is bigger. So when I am doing
hmm
something that I find important, there are more people that I can reach out to and try to connect with. So I do enjoy social media for that, versus the number that's there.
hmm
But I think that it's given me the opportunity to network with a lot of people. I've met a ton of people since 2019, since late or early 2020 rather. I've been going to a lot more events and being able to take classes, meet other fitness professionals, and really, gain knowledge that way. I'm not somebody, I hate sitting down and reading books and like just being
hmm
like, I'm not that type of nerd. I'm a visual learner. I like to be in the space and doing. So being able to take classes and be around people and hear them and kind of be a sponge in that way, that's what's helped me to grow as a coach. And then obviously I can support my members a lot better.
hmm So I guess one of the things that I would see as a challenge if I were in your position is just being able to manage all these clients and making sure they're from like, I guess, do you have any recommendations for, I guess, how you keep up that energy and are able to be present for all these clients? You mean you're saying at one point you're doing 21 sessions a week? That just
Yeah.
seems like a lot. Do you have any strategies or advice for how to not get burnt out?
Yeah. So I can tell you I've been burnt out and it's
Hmm.
not fun. You know, in the fitness space, and someone like me, I think I'm always on.
Hmm.
If I promise you something, if I'm committed to something with you, like I need to be there, I need to be present, I need to give you a 100%, 200%. And that's a lot. Even if it's
Hmm.
even if it's something that's positive and it's good things going on, it's a lot of energy. It's definitely draining, even if you are having a great time with it, and it can take a toll on you. And I think that what I didn't do before was find any sort of balance at all. Like I was just go, 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 no time to think. And so I found myself really like working inside my business and not on the business.
Hmm.
And so, you know, 2020, when I got to be home and take a step back, it allowed me to look at a lot of things, a lot of processes, stuff that I enjoyed that I wanted to keep, and then things that like I'm like, this is actually god awful. We need to scrap
Hmm.
this. I need to pull up back on this. I can't be giving, I can't teach 20 sessions a week anymore. It's not healthy. And so what I did was I learned to hire some help and bring on and get a team and get some people to help me, whether it be admin stuff, to teach some classes, things like that. And then therapy has been like a blessing. I bring that up a lot because I think it's something that, black men, but then men in general don't necessarily do or talk about. Going to therapy was a huge support. It was a huge uplift. It allowed me to kind of get in touch with my feelings, be a little more expressive. And I started managing my time, my energy like 1,000 times better than I ever have. And so right now, although I'm working hard and still putting in a good amount of time, I don't feel as beat up. I don't feel as exhausted, and I'm able to give a lot more energy to more people because I feel like I've given myself the proper care and support first.
Yeah, I like a lot of what you had to say for that. Because I mean, if you can't be there for yourself, you can't be there for others. So that is great. Ja, I have 5 questions that I ask all my guests. Are you up for answering them?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right. First question I have for you is, what is your biggest key to a successful day?
Key to successful day. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. So I gotta have everything booked out, planned out. Things tend to go wrong, but I think if you have it on your calendar and you have a structure to your day, things typically will happen for you, and you have a lot more success rather than kind of winging it all the time. So
Hmm.
definitely schedule out, and then consistency. Just making sure that you're always you mean what you say what you mean, get your stuff done, and not putting things off.
So with the calendar, are you more of a to-do list guy or more of block out by the hour, or what's your approach?
Both. So I have the calendar for scheduling like appointments, and then I have my vision board where I have my to-do list. And so I like to see those things getting checked off. For me, mentally, if I see those things getting checked off, I feel more productive, and it makes me
Hmm.
want to go a little bit harder. When I'm just kind of winging it, I don't necessarily see what I'm doing, and so I always feel like I'm not working as hard or not getting things managed.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think one of the traps I fall into a to-do list is I just make them so long that it's like you can never get
That too.
everything done. But yeah, I think it definitely helps people to check stuff off. My next question is, what do you wish someone would have told you 5 years ago that might have been helpful for you and where you're at in your career?
Whew. Adulthood is terrible. No, no, no. It's a lot. I think I don't. When you're younger, you don't have. I think it's not so much what they didn't tell me, what they told me, and I ignored. I think
Mm,
that adults really tell you like, wait till you get to the real world. Wait till you get to the real world, and we're like, oh, whatever. You just complaining. It's your parents and stuff like that. But I think when I look back and think about a lot of the things that were told to me about, you're gonna have to be on time, and like, you want to make sure that you always you show up and you're present, things like that I would kind of be like whatever, because I'm 16 and I got all the time in the world. Now I find myself telling everyone those same things. You need to show up, you need to be consistent, you need to apply yourself. You're going to be told no a lot.
mhm.
You're going to have to really go through some bumps along the way, and you're going to get tested, and you got to be ready for those things. A lot of that stuff I've heard over and over and over, and I'm really going through it in these last 3 years. And now I'm like, okay, I get it. I go back and tell my mom like, my bad. I hear you now. So yeah, mostly like stuff that I was told that I ignored.
Uh-huh. My next question is there any book or product over the last 3 months that's positively changed your life?
Book or product? Not over the last 3 months. I mean, I think the book that got me into the fitness lane was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm,
I was just reading that book. I read it in high school. I reread it as an adult, and it talked about using one of your, like, making your hobby or something that you're really passionate about a career. And so
hmm.
that's one of the reasons that I kind of got into fitness. Once I realized that, I'm like, oh, I think I'm okay at this. I think I can do really well at it. I read that book, and it made me like start to take those next steps of like, let's get a couple of clients and let's like do some math and figure out, numbers, and will this work and does this make sense? So that book has kind of stuck with me forever. And I've recommended it to a bunch of people who are, you know, on that cusp of like, I got this thing I really like doing, but I'm not sure if I want to take the leap. And I'll say, hey, read this, and kind of see if it helps you at all.
Okay, have to add it to the list. Um, and then is there any quote or mantra that you live your life by?
So my high school coach is simple. It doesn't. It's find a way. That's
Okay.
we every time we came into study hall, that was the one sign that was on the wall. Find a way, and that resonates with me because I think through college, through finance job, through my career now, that's the one thing I'm always doing is like, if anything happens, negative, positive, like I'm always looking for that next play and just find a way to really like just move forward and keep progressing. Whether it's tiny or a big jump, but just always looking to next move, next play, figure it out, and kind of lean on those little successes for motivation.
That's funny. My high school basketball coach would say the exact same thing. Find a way, find a way. Don't
Yeah,
tell me how
find a
rough
way to
the
win.
don't tell me how rough the waters are. Get the ship to
Yeah,
shore.
let's get it done.
Um, so yeah, that's great. Then my last question, signature question of the podcast, Jah Washington, what is your favorite snack?
Favorite snack. All right. So if we're not going healthy, I'll go Reese's peanut butter cups all day
Ooh,
long. I keep
okay.
those in, I keep a bag of those in the fridge. If anybody's watching that comes to the studio, don't bring this up later. But Reese's always in the fridge. But mostly I got like fruit. So I do mango and grapes. Love
Okay,
mangoes,
nice.
been eating mangoes since I was a kid. I was introduced to them by one of my West Indian friends and just
Hmm.
never looked back. So if I could have mangoes every single day, and then a second would be green grapes.
Green grapes. Cool. Jah, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and chat with me. Where can my followers follow you or
Yeah,
keep up with what you're doing?
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, they can follow me. So obviously my personal Instagram name is JAH_HOLLA. You can reach out for training at there or at JTW Fit. And if you're interested in learning more about the Kettlebell Club that's coming to Harlem in the next couple of months, that's going to be Harlem KB Club on Instagram as well. So I'll respond to all of those DMs and messages. Looking forward to seeing everybody. If you guys could send a follow or a like. And if you have any questions, if I can help out, I definitely will respond. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out and get back to you.
Awesome. Really, really appreciate it again. And I'm looking forward to seeing everything all the great things you're going to do within the fitness industry and then how you're going to keep on progressing the world of kettlebells.
No, much appreciation. And I got to reach out to you and then connect to talk about this CSCS. It's kicking my butt over here. So, all
Sounds good. Well, happy Thanksgiving and thanks for tuning in, everyone.
right. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care.
Bye.